Welcome all the YouTube enjoyers. Today in this video, I'm gonna cover the history of Lost Ark, how the game have came all the way to here. The game's direction have been changing into character binding stuff. Arc grid, bound gem, bound guild, bound mats from dailies, etc. The reason why they are doing this is largely because of three reasons. Number one, to change the business model target from the whales to all players, specifically people who have less time but have money to swipe. Number two, to re-establish their reputation, to not advertise their game Lost Ark as alt funnel game. And number three, to decrease the rice eaters, so-called RMT sellers. Before the details, we need to learn the history first. Welcome to Memorizer's history class. Stay noted. Right now, people are assuming that Korea Lost Ark have quarter or 1 out of 3 amount of people compared to back in the days by looking at the lobbies. That prospering era was the hardcore era, by the way, the Legion Commander raid era. Reason why Lost Ark bloomed is because, number one, the raid was tough and fun. Number two, MapleStory had mega scam drama with gacha probabilities. So a lot of people immigrated to Lost Ark from MapleStory exactly from 2021 January. Dailies were 2 times each on Chaos Dungeon and Guardian Raid, as you guys know, but it used to be 3 times a day without any rest point system in Season 1. Funneling was also something that people didn't think as a downside, since not only it allowed them to earn more gold, but also it made them have fun by playing more characters. But nothing can last forever. Fun is something people normally feel when it's new. More people started to lose fun, and the only thing that's left is fatigue and chore. So people start to quit the game over the time. People were also complaining about the same soft gear reset progression, like the Vikis Voten into Braille gear into Archon gear. They wanted something fun. Smallgate affirmatively reviewed players' complaints and tried to come up with a new system that can satisfy players' requirement and also that can bring them some money. And there, a Chemical X was born with Ivory Tower. XDD, the Elixir, and then back-to-back home run into Transcendence with Thamai. Even with this, it didn't make satisfactory performance. So Smallgate thought, we thrive by having awesome raid and combat. We have to maintain our main content, but maybe make a ladder for the newbies. That's when they started to add solo raid. But things didn't exactly go within their plan. The economy was going through really bad inflation. So Smallgate declares, it's time for a reset. Season 3, come forth! They launched Season 3 with the title of Flexible Build Available with Arc Passive System. The start was already messed up. For some reason, they put tier 4 starting eye level at 1640, where there were a bunch of tasty goldening raids. Thamai, Behemoth, Echidna. Players, especially the Rice Eaters, were so happy of getting opportunity to earn so much gold, but they got gatekept to every single raid. Right. In order to get into the raid, you had to do 40 Elixir and 100 plus Transcendence. Because the accessibility to 1640 was really easy, because from 1620 to 1640, you just transfer the gear, right? So many people were able to have 6 1640 characters, and by doing Elixir and Transcendence on all of them, they finally realized how bad these systems are. There is a famous quote, you don't actually get the taste of ass if you don't taste them multiple times. So they protested on the community, and the director started to alleviate the system, and eventually later, it became free in the evolution of the Arc passive, right? Afterward, things looked like it was going good, but there was another huge mistake, or perhaps an intended greed. They released all the existing vertical systems up to max level on tier 4, level 10 gems and 20 relic engraving books, etc. The relic engraving and gems were living despair for free-to-plays. The power gap between the whales and free-to-play became massive, and Smallgate scaled the DPS check of the new raids to the whales to let them have fun, since they were the ones giving tons of money. And then Act 2 incident happened. Act 2 Gate 1 Narok had a crazy DPS check in Korea, being called as the worst Gate 1 raid in the history. Players started to hate each other whenever Narok berserked. Some people snuck into the West Discord server and downloaded DPS meter. KR started to find out that some people were using it even though it's permanently bannable in KR. And as you guys know, after that, Smallgate locked the damage packet, and that got sent to the West, and the West had to lock their meter theater from Koreans. Smallgate thinks, oh no, we made a mistake. We should have not released everything at once. Anyways, the water is already spilled. The easiest way is to supply more relic engravings. At the same time, people were complaining that how can Season 3 be called the flexible season without making the gems flexible in between the builds. So Smallgate added more supply of relic engraving books from the event and also announced the bound gem system. Originally, the bound gem provided more base attack power from the proposal. Full level 8 increased 3.3% base attack power, and the full level 10 increased 5.5 compared to people who doesn't bind the gem. This directly hit the mono class rosters since they cannot bind the gems if they want to share. Those players got tilted and started quitting the game. Therefore, there were a lot of gem supplies flooding in the auction house. This decreased the price of the gem and the relic engraving. Relic engraving specifically due to the event, by the way. Players who already learned the engravings or bought the gems started to rage. Why would you run your mouth, director, to crash the market all of a sudden? Why did I pay frick tons of money if this was gonna happen? Things can be alleviated, but not all of a sudden. You should have decreased the value slower. The director removes the additional base attack power in the bound gem due to so many people quitting the game. But then, now the different class roster started to rage. Why would you revoke that? You are going to the correct direction, director. Are you gonna promote the players and streamers to advise new players by saying, you should play mono class rosters since it saves you frick tons of gold? Bro, those mono class rosters should have never been able to share the gems for a healthier economy. If they are doing that cause they like playing same characters, then let them do it, but with same amount of gold spending like others do. And so, the different class rosters started to quit the game as well, which crashed the gem price even further. Perhaps this might be what director intended to decrease the price of the gem, XDD. This is when they lost a lot of whales as well. Due to this bound gem incident, people started to spend less gold as well because players got to know how powerful the director's mouth is. When he says something, it immediately impacted the market massively, so people didn't want to risk their spendings. Anyways, he apologized and said he'll find other ways to not make people play mono class roster just because the game is expensive, which later turns out to be Arc Grid and other bound systems, by the way. Afterward, over the time, things started to get better, but still, the game did not have many new players. They acknowledged the hardcore raids can no longer be a common flavor for a majority of people, so they came up with back-to-back relatively easier raid, Seruka and 4-man Abyss Dungeon. Also, they confirmed that they will release only 2 big raids, plus some small raids or recycled raids like Abyss Dungeon and Extreme Raid, etc. per year in order to let new players catch up. The problem never ends though. Too many Rise Eaters were taking advantage of existing systems that were meant for new players. Solo Raid, oh, easy time efficient gold, tasty, umai. Express Pass, oh, another free character, tasty, oishii, +1 factory. Smallgate realized that their effort to influx newbies rather ended up making more Rise Eaters. Not a lot of whales existed compared to the past, but the Rise Eaters have been keep growing and growing. Also, there was an earning problem as well. The Rise Eaters, or people who funnel the characters, didn't really provide the money to the Smallgate. Smallgate thinks, how can we solve the Rise Eater issue and also earn money at the same time? Then there was a hearing. Look at the West. Smallgate shouts, Eureka! And imports the West special bound guild system to KR, but as character bound. They've been consistently adding bound guild system since then, and recently they made 50% of gold earning as character bound for all raids at 1710 and below. They also added Arc Grid, which is also a complete character bound vertical system. These changes didn't kill the Rise Eaters, but noticeably decreased them. These character bound guild patches affected as following. Number 1, for multiple high main level character roster, character. They didn't get that much affected since all the gold earnings in their level are tradable. 4-man Abyss Dungeon is character bound gold, but if they want to play alts at main level, then bound gold didn't matter anyways. Otherwise, if they want to funnel, they just have to uncheck the gold on the 4-man Abyss and do Act 4. So that's 4 raid per character. Number 2, for one high main with low alts for funnel or something similar to that, they got heavily affected to 50% bound gold patch. Due to this, people are thinking of downsizing the roster unless they are gonna swipe on their alts. So basically, it's working as anti-funnel. Number 3, Rice Eaters. Be gone! Will never be missed. Number 4, one high main with no alts. That's like me. Not much affected. Just have to run the top 3 gold earning, regardless of the reward being character bound or not. Number 5, new players. New players in KR claims that they are not having issue of paid winning when they play one character, but raising second character and beyond is not easy from nothing. Back in the days, they targeted the whales, but nowadays, they are targeting everyone, especially people who have less time but have money. And therefore, as I said before, the history shows them these patches of decreasing the Rice Eater and to re-establish their reputation, to not wanting to let their game be seen as the alt funnel game, and also changing the BM target. Now, let me wrap up with 4 Q&A. Number 1. Question: what do you mean by Smilegate targeting players who have less time? Why would they even play MMO if they have no time? Answer: it's the FOMO. Why would you play Lost Ark? Because it has one of the best combat and raid. There are people who want to taste the top raid with this system, but if they don't want to wait, then what would they do? They swipe, and that's how they earn money, the Smilegate. Smilegate cannot make the game as must pay to win since no one's gonna play the game then. They made it as it's possible to keep up if you put time, but if you don't want to spend that much time, they gave you an option to swipe. And they are hoping for a lot of people to do that because that gives them more money. Question number 2. How are you keeping up with only one character? Answer: the game is technically playable with only one character nowadays due to the changes I explained that happened in the history. The biggest problem in my opinion though is the gems. Gem supply in this game is so ass tiny that you pretty much must buy them from the auction house if you're aiming for end contents. The problem is the price being so expensive. It's 3 million gold for 1 level 10 in Korea. I remember that I swiped some of them like a year ago. My personal advice for others who play single character is don't overhone. This game needs a lot of other vertical system to be prepared for end content. If you can't meet them, the only thing that will be waiting for you is the gatekeep. Just flow naturally and don't force it. The flow is good. Third question. Lot of West thinks Koreans' Lost Ark direction is bad. Thoughts? Answer: you need to set your goal precisely. If you want to keep up all your characters at main level, then just do the top 3 raids as usual. As said above, the less you have characters that do bound gold involved raid, the less you will get affected. Some people say that the change made the mat price surge in the auction house, but that remains to be seen. We don't know yet. The surge pretty much is due to the Seruka providing soft gear reset, and you guys are all on only week 2. In Korea, so far, multi-main level rosters are not having problems, but this may be different in the West, so hoping for Smilegate to do West exclusive patch if there is a problem. Otherwise, if you're playing some main and some funnel ults, something like 1 main, 5 ults, or 3 main, 3 ults kind of stuff, I personally recommend you guys to downsize those funnel ults. Right now in Korea, the top 3 full tradable gold earning raids are Act 4 Hard, Final Act Hard, and Seruka Hard Plus, including the Nightmare. So the minimum level is 1730, and can 1730 be called as funnel ult? Not sure about West, but it's still pretty hard in KR, and people consider 1730 plus as main character level. So for now and in the future, if you think you can keep up with a bunch of 1730 characters as funnel ults, then yeah, go for it. But if you are even slightly uncertain, then I recommend you to downsize the roster. Just keep the characters you think you will be keep honing at main level. Last question. When are they deleting Arc smart grid. Never for now. It's gonna take a lot of time for this system to be phased. Korea have to complain about it just like Elixir and the Transcendence incident. But a lot of people are playing few characters in KR, like casually, like me, that people don't seem to experience the hatred on the system. I personally think the Astro Gem cutting part specifically is really bad. Pitiless RNG is a crime in my opinion. They made this system by saying we need to sink gold, so allow us to put full RNG system, but this is an excuse in my opinion. Game companies have ability to come up with the way to both satisfy the players and sink the gold as well. As a person who worked in programming industry, pretty much the planning department pressed the developing department to make a system like this, since planning department only cares about setting their goal for the performance and the earnings, basically money. Anyways, that's all about the history and the future of Lost Ark. I hope this helped you guys to understand the direction of the Lost Ark. Stay GigaChad, spam noted, and don't forget to download my sponsors. They are ending today. Peace out.